You can click View Options on top. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar titled Bridging Connections, Navigating Your Child's Emotions. I am Dr. Cheryl Castillo, your moderator for today. For a better viewing experience, let me guide you through the Zoom webinar. You can click View Options on top, move your cursor over Zoom ratio, click Fit to Window, check the side-by-side mode so you have a good view of the slides and speakers. Click the chat box for your questions, answers to questions, and your comments during the webinar. Should you wish to leave the webinar before it ends, click on the Leave button below. We are happy to announce that we will now be streaming live on the FB pages of the Medical City Institute of Pediatrics, the Center for Developmental Pediatrics and Feeding Clinic, and the Medical City. You may share this to your friends who cannot log in Zoom. The replay of this webinar will also be aired on our FB pages and YouTube channel. Welcome again to our Zoom and FB participants to our webinar titled Bridging Connections, Navigating Your Child's Emotions. Our webinar series is called Institute of Pediatrics Learning Academy's Coffee and Conversations. We hope to fill your morning with gems to power up your Saturday morning. So grab a cup of coffee and just relax. Before we start our webinar, let us view this video from the Medical City Institute of Pediatrics. This webinar is brought to you by the Institute of Pediatrics Learning Academy. Watch out for this logo for our future webinars. Now I have my coffee and I'm ready for our conversation. To start our webinar, allow me to introduce our speaker for today. Dr. Maria Naval Rivas is a consultant pediatrician and child and teen psychologist of the Medical City and Cardinal Santos Medical Center. She is an adjunct faculty of the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health and is a member of the Psychological Association of the Philippines. Let us all welcome Dr. Maria Naval Rivas. Good morning, Dr. Navs.
Hi, good morning, Dr. Ariel, and good morning to everybody. Welcome to our webinar for today.
Let me introduce our next speaker. Dr. Jennifer Neri Duway is a medical staff of the Department of Psychiatry of the Medical City. She is a consultant psychiatrist of Better Steps Psychology and is a member of the Philippine Psychiatric Association and Philippine Society for Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. Hello, good morning, Dr. Jen.
Hi, Doc Cheryl. Good morning, and good morning, Dr. Ranabs, and to everyone here in our webinar today.
Hi.
Now it is my turn. Hi po, Dr.
Hi.
Good morning. Now it is my turn to introduce our moderator. Let us meet Dr. Cheryl Lu Acuña Castillo. She's a consultant pediatrician at the Medical City in Ortigas and a consultant pediatrician in the TMC Satellite Clinics in SM City Light Mall and SM North EDSA Annex in Quezon City. Hi, Doc Cheryl.
Hello again. Hi. Good morning.
Wow, so we can see now yung participants natin, Doc Cheryl and Doc Nabs.
Yeah, we have lots of participants today. And I'm pretty excited about our topic for today.
Yes.
Yes, Doctor, I'm glad we'll be able to talk about emotions. I'm seeing here on the chat box that meron po nagsabi taga Alberta and taga Germany. How about the others? Maybe you can test the chat box and type in where you are on this pleasant Saturday morning.
Where are you from?
Yeah, that's the advantage of a virtual webinar, diba? We can reach a lot of participants and we can reach a lot of places too.
Wow, ang layo. No? Not just the Philippines. So we have from Canada, from Germany, from
Wow.
Laguna, Cebu. Wow. So, ang dami. So, a lot are very excited to watch this webinar. Kanina pa sila nag-come in. Ang aga-aga nila to try to get in. We're so happy to welcome you all here. Saudi, oh. Somebody's from Saudi, from Bohol. Okay. So, how is everyone now? I hope you're all uh having a great morning. So, so ngayon ba, ano ba yung general emotion na nararamdaman nyo this past week? Type in the chat box how you currently feel. Feel free to use the emojis there. You can use whatever you're feeling now. You can use the happy face, the sad face.
Since we're talking about emotions this morning, it'll be good to know how our audience is feeling, no?
Meron po nag-post din na yan yung mga emojis. Nandiyan na.
So there's overwhelmed po. Miss Patricia said she's overwhelmed. Ano ba yung emoji na? Sorry, hindi ko alam yung parang may ano ba yan? Oh, yung blue na may ganon. So some are happy, some are anxious, like that. So
tayo,
siguro
ano
because
emotions
of
natin?
Tayo ba?
Nervous.
Nervous, Doctora.
Nervous, excited.
Yes, Doctora. And at the same time, feeling happy also to be with familiar faces po.
Meron daw tired. Siguro sa ibang sa ibang timeline.
Yes, and happy daw
may
because
sad,
of the long
may
weekend.
happy. Yes, long weekend pala, so we should be relaxing. So now that you have identified your emotions, you must be wondering how emotions develop in children. Let's ask Dr. Navs about this. Paano nga ba nagde-develop ang emotions sa bata? So to officially start our discussion, Dr. Navs.
Okay, yes. Good morning, everyone. And let's talk about the emotional development in children. But first, let's define emotions. Now, emotions are mental states that are felt temporarily. They arise in the mind. They arise from the mind's interpretation of an experience that results to bodily sensations which are automatically and unconsciously generated. Ito po yung nararamdaman ninyong bigla sa dibdib ninyo kapag kayo ay natuwa, nalungkot, nasaktan, or natakot. Now, emotions are usually reflected through facial expressions and body posture. However, in the current social media era, it's quite a challenge to convey emotions through text messaging, which is now the usual way of communication amongst our children. So kanina nga, no, pati si Doc Cheryl confused siya kung ano yung emoji na yon. But the emojis at least serve as useful tools to convey emotions of a written message. Now, emotions somehow function as a source of information to stay safe and survive amidst threat to the self or thrive amidst challenges of the environment. Ang basic healthy function po ng ating emotions ay actually protektahan ang sarili natin. For example, the emotion of fear can make us withdraw or avoid the source of fear, whether that's a person, an animal, or a situation. Emotions also motivate behavioral responses. Diba? We tend to project back the emotions that is given towards us. Now, the development of emotions happen at the same time as cognitive and behavioral development and is driven by social factors. It is a lifelong process such that changes are expected from birth to childhood, adolescence, adulthood, until the end of life. Nagde-develop pa pong ating emotions. In the realm of research, the understanding of emotional development is still a work in progress. However, the following theories give light to how it is understood now. Now, Carol Izard, an American research psychologist, posited that infants are born with basic emotions that are universal, meaning all humans are born with them. And these emotions are hardwired. These include happiness, anger, fear, surprise, sadness, and disgust. Their associated facial expressions are also universal. Now, at age 2 to 3 years old, children now develop emotions that result from social experiences, according to a child developmental scientist, Michael Lewis. He labeled these emotions as self-conscious emotions that develop in conjunction with the development of self-awareness. These are embarrassment or shame, jealousy, pride, guilt. Now, children's unique experiences at this point shape how they understand social rules and evaluate themselves against them. So, for example, a child may experience guilt when they spill their milk if the mess incites a negative reaction from people around them. Jealousy may appear in a child when their mother gives attention to, say, a younger sibling, because at this age, children have conscious self-awareness that someone else has what they want. It doesn't define them as a jealous person in the future. Somehow, it's just an automatically generated feeling. Now, during this early school age, the milestone in emotional development is the ability to recognize emotions and interpret them within specific social contexts. The process of labeling emotions by caregivers is important for constructing emotion concepts necessary for recognition. So for example, when we talk to our babies, we can say something like, "Oh, that's a happy smile." Or, diba, you find yourself saying, when you see them sad, "Oh, why is my girl sad?" Now, these labels are used by children to recognize emotions, and it also gives way to a child's competence in expressing their own emotions. Accurate decoding of facial and vocal emotion cues allow us to respond appropriately to the feelings of others. And research indicates that children who can recognize emotions increase their capacity to build positive relationships with family, teachers, and peers, and become more successful in managing social and academic challenges in school. Now, between ages 8 to 9 years, cognitive emotion regulation strategies emerge. And children begin to use thoughts and feelings about themselves and others to control their emotions. And this ability to regulate emotions is one of the most important life skills that a person should process, and this will be discussed later by Dr. Jen. Let me emphasize that the ability to regulate emotions is associated with success in school and relationships. Now, expression of emotions in adolescence or teenhood differs from that in childhood and adulthood. Adolescents report experiencing greater extremes of emotions and more negative mood states than adults. Now, scientific research links moodiness in teens to complex developments happening in the teen brain. Then this might give way for our better understanding of their moods. Now, during adolescence, teens start to learn how to regulate according to the norms of adult interaction. For example, they can assume a facial expression of congratulations to an opponent after a tough loss, feeling intense emotions internally. Now let's watch this video.
The time to beat 37.530. She's done it. And she did it by half a second. Of Lee Sung-hwa in front of her home crowd. It's all she can do to stay upright at the moment. A wonderful moment.
Okay, so did you notice among our athletes, diba, after a hard loss, they still have to go up to the winner and, keep back their intense emotion as seen in the video. Now, adulthood is associated with improved emotional competence. So parents out there, this is expected of us. For example, we are expected to have already a good level of regulation of intense emotions, knowing when to allow emotions to express, and managing interpersonal relationships amidst intense emotions.
Wow, Doc, yan pala ang saga ng emotional development from infancy to adulthood. You mentioned earlier that parents and caregivers help shape the development of emotions in children. How does this happen, Doctora?
Yeah, parents have a significant role in shaping the emotional development of their children through the process of emotion socialization. So yun po ang ating term na i-refer for today, no? Emotion socialization, which begins in infancy and continues throughout childhood. Now, emotion socialization is a process where children learn about emotions based on emotional displays of people around them. Considerable evidence suggests that parental responses to children's expression of emotions have a long-lasting influence on the child's ability to recognize feelings of others, interpret them correctly, and respond appropriately. Now, when parents can co-regulate children's emotions, there are bigger chances of a healthy, positive parent-child relationship and less risk of dysregulated emotions. Ano po ba yung dysregulated emotions? This is the inability to manage feelings and emotions. So the children tend to express extreme emotions that are kind of troublesome for relationships. Now let's watch this video on emotion socialization. Note how the infant disliked mother's lack of reciprocation.
In the still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby who's about a year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this. And then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, "Come on, why aren't we doing this?" Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh, what a big girl.
Oh, see how beautifully our children depend on our emotions, diba, and what we model. Okay, so parents or other, to continue, parents or other caregivers can respond to children's emotions in two ways. Supportive responses facilitate appropriate emotional expression, communication, and emotion regulation, while non-supportive responses increase the likelihood of emotional inhibition and dysregulated affect. Now, supportive responses help the child feel better and address the cause of their distress and encourage the child to express their negative emotions. They positively contribute to children's effective coping abilities when they are in the middle of a negative emotion. Now, for example, during a tantrum, next slide, please. During a tantrum, not a lot of parents realize that their children is overwhelmed by a feeling of frustration, maybe because of not getting what they wanted. Now, a supportive response is about assuming face and body language that communicate an understanding of what they're feeling, allowing their expression of emotion, while we parents first compose ourselves and decide how to react, and hopefully prevent ourselves from spilling negative emotions towards them, but calmly offer them options, no? This gives way to a practice of regulating their own emotion, or even ours. We calmly say, okay, when you feel better, come, I'll make you a yummy drink. No, some way of distracting them from what they want and to want something else. Now, conversely, non-supportive responses include punitive responses. Yung, okay, sige, umiyak ka pa. Diba? Ganyan yung ating mga magulang dati. Or when adults minimize their emotions of children and say, ano iniiyak mo dyan? Eh, wala naman dapat iyak, ikaiyak, no? Yung distress response ng adults ay usually come in the form of an angry response for emotions that our children express. And this tendency of parents of increased arousal and sometimes avoidance is based on our own discomfort. So we also need to get to know our own emotions. Now, all these negative responses will devalue a child's emotional experience while also communicating to the child that negative emotional displays are to be avoided. Studies have shown that these responses teach children that emotions are threatening, leading children to avoid opportunities to understand their own emotions and those of others. Together, all these non-supportive parental responses may impair a child's emotional competence, social coping, behavior, and academic performance.
Doc, importante pala talaga yung role ng parents in shaping their children's emotions. So, paano nga ba natin may influence na maganda ang emotions ng ating mga kids? If you can share in the chat box how you can influence them. You mentioned co-regulation in your lecture. This time we have Dr. Jennifer Neri to talk about co-regulation.
Yes, Dr. Cheryl. Can I be heard? Okay naman yung audio and video. All
Yes,
right,
Doc
sige.
Jen.
Yes, Dr. Rochelle. So, very much important, no, that we will be talking about self-regulation and co-regulation of emotions. So, I am just wondering, I'll ask our parents and all the other adults here in our webinar for today. Narinig niyo na ba yung term na self-regulation? So, perhaps baka pinapag-usapan sa school or from other parents or baka sa social media kaya? Sige, so I'll just check. Let's see our chat box. Yes, so other um participants are saying yes. Okay. So sometimes there are different terms that are used interchangeably with self-regulation. Yes, co-regulation then also. Emotion regulation, executive functioning, effortful control, or self-management. So this term may also imply practicing flexibility and adaptability in response to situational demands and social norms. Self-regulation can be defined as the act of managing one's thoughts and feelings to engage in goal-directed actions such as organizing behavior, controlling impulses, and solving problems constructively. So, research and clinical experience have helped us to recognize the foundational role of self-regulation in promoting well-being across the lifespan. So, meaning important siya sa educational achievement, physical, emotional, and social health also. We've also come to know that self-regulation develops through interaction with caregivers. So ito yung mga parents natin, other family members, sila tito, tita, lolo, and lola, the teachers, coaches, and other mentors. Further, self-regulation development is dependent on predictive, responsive, and supportive environments. Okay, so very much important. So tatandaan natin na self-regulation, importante dyan, merong predictable, responsive, and supportive environment. The act of self-regulation may be influenced by different factors, the one that we are showing here. There are individual factors and external factors. The most internal factor influencing a child's capacity for self-regulation is comprised of the child's biology, genetics, and temperament, which contributes to individual differences in self-regulation. So meaning this is what the child is born with. Okay? And then next, major influence is the self-regulation skills that a child or a young person has developed over time. Okay? So from nung bata siya hanggang lumaki siya. And this often serves as a target for our interventions. Next is the individual's motivation to self-regulate, which can be derived from either external sources. So dito pumapasok yung mga rewards and consequences or yung mga positive feedback from our parents or from other people. The next major influence is caregiver support coming from the parents, teachers, or mentors, which serves to strengthen the child's self-regulation skills and also buffer them from adverse experiences in the larger environment. And finally, the environmental context, including the demands or stressors placed on an individual, as well as the external resources available, which have also significant influence on one's ability to self-regulate. So all of these factors interact and influence each other. So for example, the environment may influence a child's biology by shaping brain circuitry. So dito natin makikita yung kahalagahan ng kunyari nutrition, 'di ba, that we are able to provide to children, especially in the first 5 years of life, because yung nutrition helps the brain to develop. Another example, biology or temperament of a child may influence how a caregiver interacts with the child. And importantly, each of these factors serve as a point of intervention. So, ibig sabihin, meron tayong pwedeng gawin na steps or action steps and that there are multiple opportunities for intervention across development. Okay, so now let's talk about co-regulation. Okay, that this is different from self-regulation. This is an interactional process of providing support and scaffolding within a caring relationship between caregivers and the children. This is provided by caregiving adults through, number one, building warm and responsive relationship. So we can do this through recognizing and responding to cues that signal needs and wants, or by communicating the caregiver's interest in the young person's world. Some other parents are also able to provide their care for the young person no matter what. So we call this also unconditional positive regard. Okay. And then the next category of support caregivers may provide is through structuring the environment. So this means that we create an environment that is physically and emotionally safe for the child and the young person so that they are able to explore and learn. We help the young person to have consistent, predictable routines and expectations as a form of structuring the environment. And the next category of support is teaching and coaching self-regulation skills through modeling. So meaning, ipapakita natin kung paano yung mga skills ipapractice. And then giving instructions, looking for opportunities to practice, and then providing prompts and reinforcement. Okay, so in this slide, we are showing that co-regulation will look different at different ages as the child's brain develops and the capacity for self-regulation grows. So na-mention din kanina ni Dr. Navs na iba-iba yung level ng co-regulation that the support system will be able to give, and this is in response to the brain development of the child. Okay, so greater external regulation by caregivers is needed at younger ages, like an infant or a toddler. And as the child's ability to self-regulate increase, less caregiver regulation is required. So if we will see in this chart, pag young adult, less yung required. Okay. Okay. So with this next few slides, we'll just discuss the level of co-regulation support that we might be able to give across the different stages in the lifespan. So for an infant, co-regulation support will encompass a large proportion of regulatory needs. So this means that caregivers need to feed them when they're hungry, help them sleep when they are tired, and give cuddles when they are overwhelmed. And especially the caregivers would also need to manage the environmental stimuli. They need adults who are sensitive to their cues and able to provide a soothing presence in times of distress. So siguro yung mga parents po, na especially the ones na may mga newborn or mga new parents dito sa audience natin, you will observe na ganun yung mga babies. Lahat kailangan na provide ng mga caregivers sa kanila. Then, as they develop to toddlerhood, they are then able to build motor and language skills that allow them to control some aspects of their environment. So they can already walk, some can already start running, or they can move away from a loud noise, or they can approach their parent to ask something to eat. At this stage, they still continue to have strong emotions that far outweigh the emerging skills for managing emotions. In this developmental period, caregivers can begin to purposely teach and model skills like waiting. So this first, and then this, okay? And then also using simple words to communicate needs. And then next, so for those naman na may mga preschool age children. So napag-usapan natin kanina with Doc Cheryl and Doc Navs na marami na rin nagsa-start ng school. So siguro may mga parents din na this year pa lang nagsa-start pumunta sa school yung children nila. Maybe you would notice in the preschool years that your children are experiencing rapid growth in the areas of the brain associated with self-regulation. So this makes them developmentally much more prepared to learn and use self-regulation skills. So this is a good time for us caregivers, parents, and other family members to actively teach and coach skills like emotion identification, problem solving, perspective taking, and calm down strategies. So we can use yung creative ways like for taking a deep breath. So kanyari blowing bubbles or tracing a rainbow in the sky while we are doing some deep breathing exercise, or sometimes hopping like a bunny to help dun sa pag-regulate ng exercise ay ng emotions also. And important is also is caregiving modeling of these skills, because we know that children watch adults closely and they learn how they should behave from what they see from adults. Yeah, so next, in elementary school, we've seen that this is a relatively stable period developmentally. This then gives caregivers extensive opportunities to instruct and coach children in using self-regulatory skills. These are the skills that we might be able to impart with them. Ongoing co-regulation support across the elementary years will help skills crystallize and grow in sophistication over time, because this is very important as they approach the next developmental level, because there are increased demands during the adolescent period. Okay, so for those parents naman or family members who have adolescents, maybe you would also notice that during this time, there are major changes that they go through in their body. Apart from that, the brain architecture also once again undergoes changes or major changes. So this has both benefits and challenges in terms of emotion regulation. In early adolescence, we've seen that brain systems that process emotions and seek rewards are more developed than the cognitive control systems responsible for decision-making and future planning. So what does this mean? So kung narinig niyo rin po yung previous webinar natin about teens, talking with teens, and siguro based din sa experiences ninyo, usually, paano ba yung mga teens? Diba? Parang mas emotional sila. Their actions are heavily, or their decisions are heavily influenced by their emotions. Baka napapansin nyo rin that they have a bias towards choices that offer short-term reward rather than long-term benefit. And a lot of the time, that gets them into conflict with adults in their lives. Okay. So, actually, this is still a good time for us, for the adults, for the caregivers, to provide space and support, to listen supportively, and to kind of shift a little in their roles in terms of being a coach in teaching the coping skills. So co-regulation support during this developmental period is very crucial. And of course, even as young adults, co-regulation support still doesn't stop. Because during this transition period with emerging independence, with increased responsibilities and new demands in their self-regulation skills, they still need adults to help guide them. So maybe we shift a little again to being a mentor type, guiding skills development and enactment in different complex situations rather than controlling the environment or skills instruction that we did before in previous years. So if we notice, we really do need to adjust as they go through the different life stages. And sometimes with the transitions, parents can also have difficulties in helping give support for co-regulation.
Pero, pero Doc Jen, paano naman po yung mga caregivers nila? How can they practice self-regulation? Is that also important?
Yes, Doc Cheryl. Important din yun kasi very tough naman talaga yung taking care of children, 'di ba? So nakita natin iba-iba pala kasi yung needs, iba-iba yung way on how we give co-regulation support. So on the part of the caregivers, important din that they also practice self-regulation. Okay? So first they need to pay attention to their own feelings and reactions and their own thoughts and beliefs. So a lot of the times kasi, maybe because of the busyness and a lot of things that we are doing, we have knee-jerk reactions towards situations. So lalo na kapag nagkakaroon ng conflict or disagreement with our teens or with our young adults or with our children. So dito dadating yung part na pwedeng magsa-stop muna tayo, take a step back and pause and observe what is happening inside our minds with regards to the thoughts and beliefs and our feelings and reactions so that we can use self-calming strategies. So this can be self-talk or deep breathing also to help ourselves calm down first before we approach our child or young adult. Okay? A lot of the times, you might also need help from other people. So maybe we can ask someone as a to talk with us and our child.
Thank you for that, Dr. Jen. So, marami palang strategies na that we can use for self-regulation. Um, Jen, would you want to tell us more about these strategies?
Yes, sige, Doc Cheryl. So we can proceed regarding yung mga different strategies siguro, no, regarding regulating emotions. Maybe we can use the story of Lily and her mom to help us out with our discussion. And then siguro, our audience can also try to check if maybe somehow you've experienced something similar to Lily and her mom. Okay, or you know someone going through the same experience. Okay, so Lily is 12 years old. Her mom saw her arriving home from school. Mom was trying to say hi and was inviting Lily to have snacks with her. However, Lily wasn't talking with anyone. She just dropped her bag and all of her things on the floor. Her mom saw her hurriedly going to her room and slamming the door. So her mom was worried. What was happening? How do you think can Lily's parent help her in regulating her emotions in this situation? Okay. So we have here in the chat box, sabi po no na most parents, one of our participants said that most parents I talk with normally complain about puberty stage. Yes, like masungit. Okay, so maybe this is something similar to what Lily and her mom is experiencing. So tingnan natin kasi baka pwede dito natin magagamit yung teaching Lily regarding self regulation and then also si mommy practicing din yung co-regulation. Okay? Okay, so for today, we'll also be including or adding it a skill na maybe a lot of us can learn from. So this is just an overview of the ruler method. This is a research-based program created by the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. This approach to social and emotional learning stands for 5 areas of emotional intelligence. So it's an acronym. R for recognizing emotion in self and others. U, understanding an emotion's cause and potential consequences. L, labeling emotions with accurate vocabulary. E, expressing emotions in constructive ways. And R, regulating emotions. Studies have shown that children who've been taught about the ruler method learn a diverse range of feeling words, which then promotes communication with the parents and caregivers and helps in self-regulation. So, for example, no, so usually they introduce this program in schools. Okay, for today, siguro we'll try to see how we will be able to apply this for families. So, parents can use the ruler method to help their children with, for example, times of transition or when conflict arises. Or it can also help parents and their children have a common language to communicate about emotions and help in self-regulation, enactment, and co-regulation. So a lot of the times kasi we will hear from our friends, from other parents, they have difficulty communicating with their teens or with their younger children. Iba yung mga ginagamit ng mga labels perhaps. Okay, so using this method can help us in terms of having that common language. Okay? Okay. So first, Lily's mom would need to pay attention to her own feelings. So nabanggit din to ni Dr. Renavs kanina. Okay? So important for our parents also to check in with how she's feeling, how she is reacting to Lily's behavior. before she can also approach Lily and help her in regulating her own emotions. Okay. So, example, mom recognized she is calm and has given some time for Lily to also some time for Lily. And now she goes to Lily in her room as part of R and you recognizing and understanding emotions. Mom can say, hey Lily, I saw you walk straight to your room. Let's try to talk about this. Mom is here. So as mom approaches Lily slowly and tries to hold her hand or tries to stay just immediately beside her or tries to hug her depending on what she observes from Lily, okay? It looked like something upset you. Maybe we can try to do some breathing exercises together. So at this point, mom decided to help Lily regulate her emotions, so it's the other R, okay? Regulate her emotions and use an effective strategy to manage the feeling state before talking more about it. Mom can also use the mood meter as a way of labeling emotions and using feeling words. So Lily pointed to the red area, which is low in pleasantness and high in energy. She told mom she felt frustrated and upset. So let's see what the mood meter is. So I have here a sample of what the mood meter is. Um, this helps develop emotional awareness through recognition and communication of feelings. It's a color-coded chart used to graph feelings based on energy that's on the vertical axis and pleasantness on the horizontal axis. So it helps us to show or to express the degree of pleasantness from unpleasant to pleasant and the degree of a person's energy from low to high. So parents and caregivers may use the mood meter differently. For example, they can start the day with their child talking about how they are feeling, why they are feeling that way, and thinking about how their feelings might affect what they do during the day. Or they can also teach their children to write this on their journal. So something that they can keep track of. And the situations that bring about these certain mood states. Or they can also try to talk about this when they go home from school or during the weekends. Parents can also talk about how to prevent or reduce, for example, being in the red area or blue area, and then how to initiate, maintain, and enhance yellow and green feelings. While some emotions can be uncomfortable, so sometimes we may be uncomfortable talking about feeling scared or feeling angry. But let's remember that there are no bad emotions. The feelings, these emotions are here for a reason. They give us information. So it's the parents' jobs to help the kids, the teens, and the children to be able to recognize and to talk about this. Okay, so let's go back to Lily and her mom. Um, Mom continued to encourage Lily to express, letter E, express her emotions, giving assurance that mom is here to listen and be with her. Lily began sobbing and told mom she didn't make it to the swimming team during school tryouts. She had been aiming for this and was allotting time and effort for practice. Siguro po baka ngayon no, pa-start na yung school, so marami ding mga tryouts or marami ding mga different activities na gusto joinan yung mga children natin. And perhaps baka may ma-encounter din po kayo something similar to this. Okay, so mom encouraged Lily to talk more about how she is feeling and was showing empathy and telling Lily, okay, it really makes sense that you feel this way, Lily. Mom also helped Lily practice additional muscle relaxation exercises with slow breathing exercises to continue regulating her emotions. Until Lily felt that she was somewhere nearer to green area, so calmer than when she got home. Okay, okay, that is just one example. Much later on, maybe mom can also talk to Lily about like for example, in another situation, where are you on the mood meter? What caused you to feel that way? Or maybe mom can also share where she is at the using the mood meter. How can you stay there or move to a different quadrant? And what is the emotion called? Or how can I help you move to the to green? Okay, so these are some of the strategies that we can use. Now I will turn you back to Doc Cheryl.
So, wow, that's the ruler method pala, Dr. Jen. So, and it seems very helpful to our parents, and this can be used in different ages and situations, no? So, like what Miss Hazel from the chat box, from the chat room said na, she said na mas emotional daw yung 6-year-old niya compared to her 14-year-old. So, parang in this situation, so parang you can apply the ruler method dun sa mga emotions na pinapakita ng kids natin. So, ngayon po na narinig na natin ang discussion tungkol sa emotion, co-regulation at mga strategies. Dr. Navs, may iba pa ba kayo na masasuggest na strategies for our parents?
Yes, Doc Cheryl. I've actually prepared a 10-point advice to parents in nurturing healthy emotions for their children. No? So medyo sinamarize ko yung mga makikita ninyo sa internet, and hopefully this will help our participants. So number 1, okay, so let's start early. So all kids benefit from teaching about feelings, no? But I'm sure madami po sa atin din na merong mga infants who are quick to react and hard to soothe. So, meron po ba tayo dyan, mga participants na gano'n ang naging problema before or problem ngayon, no? It seems to be a problem. And how can we help them is by talking to them about feelings. So parang habang pinapatahimik mo yung anak mo, no, kasi iyak siya ng iyak, you can actually self-talk or talk to your baby actually self-talking na parang, okay, I know you're not trying to make my life difficult, but there's something I'm sure you're feeling and mom's going to figure it out for you, and we'll try our best. So ganyan, you can speak to your even as an infant, no? Or you can also use activities, point out when book or movie characters feel sad, happy, angry, or worried. Kahit po ganong kaliit pa yung baby. So let's watch this video which is an activity on how we can show our young children about feelings. Okay. So, ang ating yung second advice is, and one of my favorite, yung lagi kong ina-emphasize sa mga parents, is to create a consistent positive relationship with your child. Because studies show that when children have a secure, trusting relationship with parents or caregivers, they have better emotion regulation as toddlers than those whose needs are not met by their caregivers. And lagi ko po sinasabi sa parents, para tumaas po yung influence natin sa mga anak natin, dapat maganda yung relationship natin with them. Parang yun ang primary goal, no? And consistency means that despite your child being difficult, parents and other caregivers have to have the same discipline style. Minsan, actually madalas na problemang pinapresent yan sa clinic ko na parang kami ganito, pero yung ibang kasama namin sa bahay, iba yung way of disciplining. We have to give our children consistent ways of parenting para po maging stable ang kanilang mga emotions. Now, number 3, punish less and praise more. So it's tempting to give consequences for bad behavior. Kala natin that really just promotes discipline, healthy discipline right away. But we have to remember that Severe punishment makes behavior worse and not better. When parenting is harsh, children who have trouble managing their emotions tend to react by being even more aggressive. Now, parents should pay attention more to good behaviors than negative behaviors. So, for example, if your child always screams pag tinatanggal nyo na po siya sa laruan, hindi po mas matututo siya na hindi natin yon pinapunish, pero nire-reward natin yung mga moments na nung tinanggal natin siya, hindi siya nag-scream ng ganon kagrabe. So yun po yung ating gagawing strategy. And number 4, it's important for parents to model good behavior. So pag po ang ating anak ay masungit, parang baby pa lang ang sungit na niya, minsan we reflect on ourselves and check, kamusta ba tayo sa umaga? Baka naman tayo rin masungit. Because children learn behaviors better by modeling what their parents are doing and not by what they say. Don't shout if you don't like them shouting, and don't lie if you don't like them lying. Don't spank if you don't like them hitting other kids. And stay calm. So we also model good behavior, parents, by being calm, especially during an emotional crisis, no? Especially when your preschooler is throwing parang the worst tantrum of his or her life. And if you're about to lose your cool, then you take a minute to breathe and calm down before you address the situation. Or you can walk into another room and come back once you're calmer. Wag naman po masyadong matagal yon. Dapat sandali lang yon. Because walking briefly away from the situation does not mean that you're avoiding the situation. Sometimes it really even prevents us from making an impulsive reaction that can be harmful to our child. So pwede po nating gawin yon. Wag lang masyadong matagal. Sandali lang. Now, teach your children to recognize and name their emotions. So, find the appropriate time to talk about feelings and strategies to manage them, as discussed lengthily by Dr. Jen, no? So, for smaller kids up to about early childhood, most of the time, parang tayo yung halos in charge in like teaching them feelings and how to manage their emotion. But when they're already in the middle school age, dapat po medyo pinapabayaan na natin sila ng konti to parang find their ways in terms of their emotions, and then we can help them. Now, sa teens, iba na, no? We don't anymore flood them with how we like to interpret emotions. Most of the time, pagkausap natin sila, we really have to stay, not parang just listen, do active listening, and then kind of explore. So, how are you feeling now? And then try to validate that feeling and not overshadow their feelings. The more pag nagpupunta na po sila into young adulthood, because that is a form of autonomy also, and they need that. Now, number 7, discuss options. So when your child is calm, talk about some ways that they can handle a tricky situation. Imagine they pushed a playmate who had a toy that they really wanted. So, hindi dahil lalaki silang salbahe, but because they just don't know to regulate their emotion at that point, no? So, when things are calm, talk about different choices they could make next time. Ask the playmate to take turns or find something else to play with. And this process can actually help your child develop problem-solving skills. Now, number 8, role play. So once you talk about possible options, it's time to practice. We need to role play and rehearse para po pag kailangan nila yung skill, magagawa nila. Number 9, again, we have to be a team, especially for kids who are struggling to learn emotion regulation or consistency of parenting styles, as I've mentioned earlier, has to be present among all caregivers. It's really important for parents, grandparents, teachers, and other caregivers to work together to address a child's self-regulation problem. And lastly, and not the least, don't expect your child to behave perfectly. Kailangan po in perspective natin is ang mga anak natin ay developing brains pa sila. When they're afraid or anxious, especially during vaccination or starting school for the first time, they might not be able to access yung self-regulation skills na parang meron na sila, no? Biglang parang nawala. And this can happen in highly stressful situation. And at that time, then children need adults more. Executive functions like planning, organizing, problem solving, controlling impulses continue to develop even into adulthood. And when we feel frustrated about our children's behavior, remember, emotion regulation takes time. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Navs. Wow, we have learned a lot from our speakers on children's emotions and actually looking at emotions in a different perspective now. I hope our parents learned a lot from the discussion, but I'm sure you still have questions. Let me just read sa chat box yung Ma'am Christine Tagapayong said that in a first grade setting, in class, she checks down with the children by asking, "Kamusta na kayo?" and figure out a response to let them know that I did hold conscious space in my mind for them. So, at the same time, mas nagiging ready sila for the lessons once their thought bubble has been expressed. So, parang she lets them speak their minds muna.
Yeah, that's nice.
Then acknowledge. Yes. Okay.
Sana
If you have
sana all teachers ganon.
Yes.
Tapos
Doctor, it
first,
seems
ano,
like may
first
mga
grade
ibang
lang.
nag-agree rin kasi may 5 hearts dun sa message.
Oh yeah.
If you have any questions, you may type already in the chat box. So while waiting, let me ask our speaker. Anyone can answer this. So this is a common situation for our parents today when their interaction with their teen becomes so overwhelming. How do we co-regulate in this situation? Example, parang you're discussing something with your teen and they seem to not be listening. Tapos ikaw naman, naiinis ka na rin sa kanya. So how do we actually best co-regulate with them?
Una po, sisiguraduhin natin hindi sila naka-earpods, no? Tapos, communicating with our children kasi can also come in the form of non-verbal language. So we can go near them, tap them. Kunwari parang narinig, anak, narinig mo ba ako, no? And so bago tayo mainis, no? So let's say nainis ka na kasi talaga palang naririnig ka, no? Then you have to, sabi nga ni Dr. Jan kanina, acknowledge your own feelings, hindi mo pwedeng i-deny yon. Kasi that second na in-acknowledge mong, kakainis to di ba? Parang it's a step back already before actually reacting. And knowing our emotions and also practicing them will somehow help us master the skill of, okay, ayoko tong patulan. Uulitin ko na lang yung sinabi ko. But maybe go near them and make sure that they can actually hear you. I think that's one step.
Yes.
If I
Tama.
may add siguro, Doc Cheryl.
Yes.
I just like to add lang din po dun sa sinabi ni Dr. Navs na it's important that the parents yung listen to their own emotions, regulate their own emotions first, and then maybe also be curious why the behavior is like that. What is happening kaya inside their minds? What are they feeling? Versus yung what yung knee-jerk na reaction natin. And then we also choose our response wisely. Having feelings is different from acting on our feelings. Okay, so dito papasok yung parang stopping and pausing and then breathing first. And then later on, kung talagang nagkaroon ng argument or nagkaroon ng conflict, maybe also having the courage to repair the relationship and to work on reconnecting again.
Oo. Siguro chance na rin natin i-reveal sa mga parents yung naririnig natin from our patients, no? Yung parang pag nag-vent sila, parang siguro out of worry of parents gusto i-solve agad. So, wag kang malungkot dyan, di naman nakakalungkot yan. To them, that sounds very invalidating, di ba? So, parang okay anak, yung explore their feelings na sabi ng doctor dyan. Parang okay anak, ba't ka nalulungkot? Why are you sad? Or why did that situation make you sad? So, understand them.
Let me just read one question here. It's somehow related to my question. Is it normal for young teens from Maria Lina Sumang to always contradict with us what us parents tell them to do? Parang they act as they know it all and they are so opinionated. Exactly. The teens.
When you say normal, well, yes, it can be a part of normal development. Kasi po, transition po ang teenhood years to an autonomous thinking, no? Dati, napaka-dependent nila sa atin. Yes, mommy, yes, daddy. Pag-teenhood po, nagta-transition na sila sa they want to use their own decision and mind and regulation lang yung problema. Kaya parang feeling na nila they're on top of what parents know better for them, no? So yun po, regulate din natin sa lab because that independent thinking is important for their adulthood. Ayaw natin na magiging adults ang mga anak natin na babalik at babalik lagi sa atin for important decisions, di ba? So, if the question is normal, yes, it is a normal transition period for adolescents.
Thank you, Dr. Nav. This one also. So parang emotional din. Paano po matulungan ang bata pag ang bata ay naghagis ng cellphone kasi natalo siya sa game? Thank you po. So, hinagis. Well, yun. So, paano mo matutulungan pag naghagis daw ng cellphone? Pag natalo siya sa game. Actually, it's, yeah.
So maybe we can look at it from siguro po two-prong approach. First is maybe yung at the moment, tapos another one maybe is yung to help prevent yung recurrences or to help lessen na magkakaroon ng ganong occurrences. So part dito yung diniscuss natin kanina na maybe it's important to kapag magkakasama tayo nung 5-year-old natin or 4-year-old, so mga nandun sila sa mga preschool age, na ini-introduce na din natin, sabi nga ni Dr. Nav, start early. Ini-introduce na natin yung vocabulary with them so that they can use it whenever they are upset. So, kanyari dun sa situation na yon natalo siya dun sa game. So, helping them to use yung vocabulary or maybe illustrations like yung mood meter can also help out. So, in preparation, no? So, ito yung mga things na when we connect with our children, when we spend time with them, pwede natin ituturo sa kanila. At the moment, yung next naman is at the moment, we have to lend our calm with them. Okay? So, instead na yung knee-jerk reaction din na papagalitan natin or sasabihin natin na bakit mo tinapon yung cellphone, ang mahal-mahal niyan. So, yung galit niya, imamatch natin ang galit natin. That wouldn't help also. So we've been also mentioning regarding modeling. So sa ganitong age, around 5 years old, pwede na natin silang tulungan step by step kung ano yung mga pwedeng gawin. So pwedeng merong mga picture words tayo na step by step na pwedeng gawin, tapos ipapractice yun ahead of time. Tapos at the moment, pwede din na ituturo din natin yun sa kanila. Just some of the strategies. Baka meron lang din sila,
Yes.
Doktora, pa na other
Thank you.
strategies.
I think that's a good strategies na yung mention nyo, Doc.
Okay.
Let me just ask another question from Ma'am Patricia Malapaya. If may autism, nonverbal po, how can we modify to make this self and co-regulation work better on our kids?
I'm sorry, how
If
do
may
we help?
autism, nonverbal, how can we modify to make the self and co-regulation work better on our kids?
Yeah, I think it will help to model calmness, no? Even non-verbally. So when we say when our child with in the spectrum would be parang expressing extreme emotion, no? Throwing a tantrum, parang ganyan. Sometimes it helps to just like maybe hold them firmly and show them a calm expression, and show them that you like to understand what's going on. Our eyes and our face can communicate a lot to our children, especially kilalang kilala po nila tayo dahil tayong kasama nila since bata pa sila. That's one suggestion in
Expressions,
helping
Doc.
them regulate that extreme emotion. Nonverbal language.
Yes.
We rarely use that for our children, di ba?
Mm-mm. Thank you, Doc. So, some shared naman, last time umuwi, 5-year-old baby ko, the kinder, sad daw siya kasi nag-volunteer siya mag-write sa board kaso hindi siya natawag ni teacher. After daw nun, nag-tantrums na, gusto na daw umalis sa classroom. Medyo seloso daw anak ko, sabi ng teacher. Pag may iba inaasikaso na parang nagtatampo na daw po.
I think
School.
I think product yan nung yung kunwari sila yung bata lang sa bahay, tapos parang lahat ng attention, I don't know if that's the context, yung may ganung context na nangyayari sa ating participant, no? Yung mag-isa sila, tapos parang medyo na overpraise din yung bata with everything. So pagdating sa school, hindi na lahat ng attention sa kanya, no? So it will be a struggle. But again, you're always there to teach and to create, scenarios for your child na hindi na because there are other children also. So, yan, para maintindihan nila yung nangyayaring iba sa eskwela. And then also, maybe it will help na pati sa bahay, medyo nagto-tone down na rin yung parang, parang the way we regard the child na parang every move we will have to praise para masanay din yung ating mga anak doon sa ganung interaction or dynamic.
The question of Miss Grace Malyari is also somehow related to, so how to deal, kasi di ba the kids are, yung mga 5 years old, yung mga ganyan. So, always sila with their parents. So, now na nagsuschool na, to deal with student preschoolers na may separation anxiety pa sa mommy niya. Mga 3 weeks na sa class, iyak pa din ng iyak. Mommy daw. So, yun yung mga kids na stuck at home or talagang may separation anxiety. How do you deal daw?
Ako ba?
Doc
Doc
Jen?
Jen?
Ay,
Can-
ako po, Doktora. Okay. Sige. So, it's really tough, no? Not only for the yung preschooler natin. I think tough din yun for the parents, 'di ba? Na may papasok na sa school yung anak nila, especially kunyari first child going to school. So just like yung sinabi ko rin kanina, maaari din na something that we can prepare for. So, ahead of time, talking to them about it. Sometimes visiting the school ahead of time can also help. Introducing them to the teachers can also help out. May mga step-by-step approach, giving them reassurances, nandito si mommy, paglabas, nandiyan naman. And then, introducing them to the teachers. Teacher is here, she'll be helping you out. And baka yun yung mga ganong things. Kasi syempre the changes in the environment, um, from yung safety nung house and the home, and then shifting to school, pwedeng naninibago pa yung preschooler natin. And then, at the moment naman, pwede din natin silang tulungan ng mga calming strategies. We can use creative ways. So, for example, blowing some bubbles for deep breathing exercises, or tracing the rainbow para for breathing in and breathing out. And other creative strategies that we can also collaborate with the teacher para mas matutulungan sila.
Yeah. Actually, let me share lang. I have a co-parent na yung toddler niya, hinahatid niya sa kinder. So, every time nagka-cry yung kid, talagang sobrang crying session sila every time she would drop off the child. Parang, and then after, parang iiwanan niya kasi nga, she has to leave the child. So siya rin at sa car or sa dun sa area, iiyak din siya kasi parang siya rin may separation anxiety. What helped somehow yung different people yung naghahatid. So
Agree.
may may other kids kasi siya, so may teenager, basta may bunso kasi yon. So it helped a lot na yung hindi lang yung mommy yung naghahatid kasi always yung mom yung hinahanap eh. So yung brother naghatid and then they will play muna. So then sunduan time, it's also the brother who will sundo. So parang yung ganung mga, and nung later on, parang after 2 weeks, parang somehow yung kid nagle-less na yung crying. So hindi na siya totally crying session the whole time.
Oo, 'di ba Doc
Yeah.
Cheryl, it tells us of how perceptive our children are. Baka nararamdaman din nung batang 'yan yung yung nararamdaman nung parent na naghahatid, 'di ba?
Wow.
Na nalulungkot
Parang,
din. Kaya nung lumipat ng tagahatid, nag-calm yung kanyang emotion.
yes, true. Okay, so madaming questions about their teenagers. So how to deal with their opinions, their behavior, their ano pa ba? Like their negative behaviors.
So,
When is the best time? So Miss is Joe or Joe Pril Espartero said, when is the best time to seek professional help for negative behaviors?
ah, well, marami, ang teenhood po talaga is a very conflicted period, no, between the parent-child. Kasi nga, nagta-transition yung bata na parang yung brain niya is like teaching the person to like think for itself, no? And that's going against naman parents who cannot yet allow the child to think for itself. So yung tug of war na yon, no? So sa teenager po, in short, in summary, in a lot of words, ang effective is explore the way they think. Bago tayo, may nakita ko sa isang comment yung parang mas naging effective daw sa kanya nung hindi siya basa-basa nagre-react, no? Ibig sabihin kasi na-feel nung bata na inintindi natin, validate natin yung pakiramdam niya imbis na pinapalitan natin yung nararamdaman niya. So isa yon, and then ako nakalimutan ko yung tail end ng question mo. So sa teenager, ano nga ba? Doc Cheryl. So sa
When do you seek professional help,
oh yeah,
Dora?
okay. Pag
When to seek?
ano na po, pag nagiging problematic na yung functioning nila pati sa school. So maybe it's about time to seek intervention. Kasi mostly ang teens happy with peers, 'di ba? So kahit feeling problematic sila sa bahay kasi kaaway nila tayo, pagdating nila sa school, parang nagiging same person sila so they can still thrive. Pero pag yan naging problematic na, and even relationship with peers naging problematic, then I guess it's time to share with even just their primary care physician, pediatrician, what's going on so that they can be led to expert help in case.
How about, I think this is also related. How do we handle teens who refuse to talk about their emotions? From Lizelle Hermino. Doc Jen?
Okay, in terms of this, then maybe we can try to connect with them first and try to see different approaches. So, for example, we can try to reflect what we are observing. Oh, I am seeing that there's something upsetting you. Or sometimes naman, kunyari during the car ride, we can talk to them. Or sometimes we can just start it with something that they are interested with before natin aalamin agad. So kumbaga instead na very direct, maybe we can try through different paths. A lot of the times kasi they would appear like they don't want the help of the parents, or it might seem like the opinion of other people, their peers, are more important to them. But at the end of the day, they will still listen to the parents, and they will still go back to their parents for help and for seeking yung soothing. Okay? So, i-explore din natin. I guess something to remember is how can we connect with them first? So, maybe yun, try to think, ano yung mga pathways, ano yung mga steps or strategies that I can do to connect with him first before yung, as in, kailangan magsasalita siya, as in, kailangan magkukwento siya sa akin ng emotions niya. Try that path muna. How can I connect? And then be curious and show empathy also. So we all want to feel understood. Teenagers would also like to feel understood.
Thank you. And last question. Ang daming questions sa chat box and sa comment section natin. So, last from Miss Girly Lopez. When the mother is pregnant and she's always on edge and stressed, does that affect the child in the womb?
Oh yes, there are already a lot of studies connecting the state of the mom during pregnancy and to parang yung child in the womb, no? So I suggest mom should also find help in managing her emotions so that kasi ngayon yung studies on first 1,000 days of the baby, no? 'Di ba? Makita natin doon malaki yung role ng stress that the mother goes through even pre-birth or during pregnancy. So to have healthier children, then we have to learn how to like overcome yung mga ganong stressful feelings, situations while we are pregnant.
Agree. Thank you. Thank you for the active participation of our audience today. So that is all the time we have for questions. Dr. Navs and Dr. Jen, may I ask you for any parting words for our audience?
Okay, so I'll go ahead. I just like our audience to remember, first and foremost, that our children learn about their emotions from us. So we role model it, we teach it, and it depends on what we show them and what we're able to teach them, yung magiging coping abilities nila in handling their own emotional world. So it's a tough task, but we welcome that because we are their parents.
For me naman, it's more of let's try to connect with them and be curious about what is going on with them. Investment, yung connecting with them, especially if we start early and we continue on as they grow older. Okay? And yung connection na yun will help us out in different experiences that they will go through. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well said, Dr. Navs and Dr. Jen. Truly, this discussion has been a great start to our morning. To all of you watching this morning, to Dr. Navs and Dr. Jen, until our next
Coffee.
coffee and conversation.
Conversations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again to our resource speakers. I enjoyed our coffee and conversation this morning. For all our participants, thank you for joining us. For your certificate, you may scan the QR code or click the link on the chat box. I will return to this slide in a while. For inquiries about us and other pediatricians and other specialists at the Medical City, please contact the Institute of Pediatrics with this number. And if you have any concerns about your child's development or behavior, or you just want to check if their development is on the right track, you may bring them for developmental screening at the Center for Developmental Pediatrics here at the Medical City. I would like to invite you to our upcoming webinars. On September 21, 2024 at 2 p.m., we are inviting you to our parent class on feeding titled Feeding Them Right, Expert's Guide in Feeding Your Kids. For a minimal fee, you can register by scanning the QR code. On October 19, 2024, at 2 p.m., we are inviting you to our CDP Behavior Series, Managing Behavior in the School Setting. For a minimal fee, you can register by scanning the QR code. Again, thank you for spending your morning with us today for the Institute of Pediatrics Learning Academy's Coffee and Conversations. I leave you with this link to the certificate. This link will be open only until 5 p.m. today. See you in our next webinar. I am Dr. Cheryl Castillo for Coffee and Conversation of the Medical City Institute of Pediatrics, your partner in pediatric healthcare. Good morning, everyone.